Demon's Souls, Resident Evil, and now even The Last of Us. These days, the video game market is absolutely saturated with developers remaking and re-releasing our old and not so old beloved titles. Whether it's the draw of nostalgia or leagues of new players being introduced to what is for them a brand new IP, they certainly do sell well, so it's understandable why studios keep cooking them up. But with games barely even a decade old that still hold up exceptionally well on modern hardware being in line for remakes, it begs the question, are they really necessary? Well, for some, yes. Whether driven by outdated graphics, 30 frames per second capped gameplay, or the need to give a forgotten game another chance, many older titles truly do need a fresh coat of paint to compete with modern releases. All these titles absolutely deserve the same treatment, and we deserve to see them reappear on our screens with a new lease on life. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 video games that actually deserve a remake. Number 10. TITANFALL. The most recent release of this list, and a dent in the opening assertion that games less than a decade old should be left well alone, TITANFALL is an outlier for so many reasons. A sharpshooting online mech game that was well received in a critical and cult capacity quickly fell out of favor, and in 2022 essentially constitutes abandonware. While a remake is unlikely, as fans have been clamoring for a third installment of the series for some time with little response, and developers Respawn Entertainment have their hands full with successful spin-off Apex Legends, it would still be deserved. Bring back TITANFALL with a focus on a proper fleshed out campaign and further innovation on the multiplayer it originally introduced, and it could easily find its niche in the market once again. Number 9. Assassin's Creed. You might think this one's an odd choice considering Assassin's Creed is a series that is both still going strong and simultaneously suffering from a serious case of identity crisis and franchise fatigue. While the series has significantly evolved over the years, Ubisoft launched the very first game in 2007 and as yet haven't stopped pumping out new entries every couple of years. The more recent RPG trilogy has been generally well received, but Valhalla is not exactly reaching the same heights as its forefathers, and many fans do miss the old stealth-focused mechanics over bashing people about in the head with an axe. Some of the earlier games received a well-timed remaster in 2016's The Ezio Collection, but as yet the original game has been left untouched. A remake of the one that started it all could be just what the series needs to break out of its current funk, after a year or two's rest anyway. Number 8. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy. Latest in a long line of shoddy, unloved remasters is 2021's Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, comprised of graphically updated editions of Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and looking about as good as a Da Vinci painted by a child. While Rockstar are at this point known for putting out port after port of as many GTA titles as they can every few years, they've as yet not expressed any intention of actively remaking any of the earlier games. This feels like a mistake, especially since Grand Theft Auto 6 is still a long way off. An updated remake of the 3D era games with modern graphics, refined voice acting, and Rockstar's signature game design can only put more money in their pocket. Just leave out the microtransactions for this one. Number 7. The Witcher. After Cyberpunk 2077's infamously disastrous launch in 2020, developers said a Projekt Red could do with a project guaranteed to propel them back into gamers' good graces. What better than The Witcher, the fateful beginning of a series that last saw everyone's favorite white-haired monster hunter retiring to Toussaint with a cemented greatest of all time reputation under his belt, thanks to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The original Witcher doesn't exactly hold up. Despite the excellent writing set of Projekt Red diehards have come to expect, fans who join the series through the second or third games are quickly turned off by the old immersion-breaking graphics and comparatively clunky movement. Let's face it, Witcher 1 Geralt fights less like a mutagen-enhanced killing machine and more like a blindfolded 5-year-old at a piñata party. While a fourth Witcher game has been announced for development with legions of new fans and renewed interest thanks to a slate of Netflix book adaptations, I can't think of a better gift to the franchise than to relive that fantastic original story in sweet, sweet next-gen HD. Number 6. Devil May Cry 3 – Dante's Awakening. With Capcom having thankfully washed their hands of 2013's misguided and misappropriated reboot DMC Devil May Cry and returned to form for smash hit Devil May Cry 5, it's high time the original games get some much needed love and remake attention. While the first 3 games did get a facelift for 2018's HD collection, allowing 1080p visuals for modern consoles, DMC 5 proved that the classic gameplay improved upon in the RE engine is as popular as ever. While it's not the first game in the series, Devil May Cry 3's narrative is the first chronologically, and the origin of Dante and Virgil's rivalry would make a great follow-up to the most recent game for new fans. We know Capcom have experience and success with their recent Resident Evil remakes, so why not apply the same logic to Devil May Cry? Come on, you know you want to. Number 5. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Naughty Dog, listen, Last of Us looks and plays fine, we promise. You know what does not look fine though? Uncharted. While Uncharted does hold up far better than a lot of games on this list, we can all admit that the blockbuster plot and movie-style cutscenes were way ahead of their time, but that time could and should once again be now. In an age of open worlds and innumerous fetch quests, sometimes all you want is to be Nathan Drake, fighting a seemingly never-ending supply of baddies through corridors in the jungle and driving trucks backwards off cliffs. I can think of little better than doing it all over again, only this time with photorealistic visuals and a grand total of 0 fixed camera angles. With a remaster of the series' 2 most recent games coming to PC in 2022, a Tom Holland movie, and many having replayed the original games when PlayStation released them for free at the start of the pandemic, Uncharted is more than ready to make a comeback. Leave Ellie and Joel alone, guys. We want swinging vine physics. Number 4. Silent Hill. Silent Hill is nearly ubiquitous with the horror game genre thanks to the impact the series made in the early noughties. So why haven't we seen anything of it in years? Well, we can thank Konami for killing off Silent Hills in its beautiful, anticipated Norman Reedus-infused infancy back in 2014. Everybody disliked that. While the future of Silent Hill is largely shrouded in mystery, though film adaptation director Christoph Gans did recently hint at plans to relaunch the series through new games and movies, no one can deny that a modern-day Silent Hill remake could revitalize the genre if done correctly. At the very least, it would certainly go a long way to soothing the removal of PT's lasting burn on the gaming community. Number 3. Bully. Bully, Rockstar's quite literally forgotten child. Fans have been clamoring for a second installment to the series essentially since its release, and without success. At this point, if developers had any ideas to restart the series, a top-of-the-class remake would be their best bet. While Bully might initially seem difficult to update for a modern audience, the recent Resident Evil remakes prove that retaining a game's original time period and setting does work, and Bully would be guaranteed to introduce a wave of nostalgia for fans who grew up or played in the early 2000s. Reintroduced to 2022's far less conservative market in terms of story content within gaming, fans might actually be able to see the original darker themes that were planned for the game come to fruition. Number 2. Metal Gear Solid. Yes, Metal Gear Solid did already get a remake with 2004's GameCube exclusive The Twin Snakes, and yes, that one does count, but can a game nearly 2 decades old be considered a suitable remake in 2022? Inarguably no. Another of Konami and Hideo Kojima's unfortunate divorce fallouts, the future of Metal Gear seems to hang in the balance. Though, surprisingly, a Metal Gear Solid remake rumor has been reported by industry insiders this year, so there might be a real possibility of this one coming to a console near you this generation. Being one of the greatest and most influential video games of all time, there's no doubt that an opportunity to once again assist Solid Snake in taking down Foxhound with a modern-day engine and graphics is exactly what it deserves. Number 1. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Back in the days before Disney swallowed LucasArts whole, the company was not only routinely putting out amazing Star Wars games, but games that turned out to be some of the best and most influential in the industry overall. None exemplifies this better than my personal favorite RPG of all time, Knights of the Old Republic. And Star Wars fans everywhere were overjoyed in 2021 when a remake was announced to actually be in development. With such a beloved game as the source material and a recent history of modern Star Wars games being buggy and uninnovative at best, and downright gambling inducers at worst, there's an understandable apprehension of how the end result of this anticipated remake will turn out. But at the very least, one of the most deserved games in an extensive back catalogue really is finally getting a remake, and we can only hope that some of the other titles on this list follow suit. That's the end of our list, but do let me know down in that comment section which video games you think actually deserve a remake. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm at Jess McDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness.